Hey guys, I'm so sorry about last week. I had to move and I didn't know it sucked that bad. No, it's like I knew, but I forgot. I don't know. But anyway, I'm so happy that you're here. I talk a lot about why I chose the midwife route. Why, what is so different about it and why I didn't choose. Why I didn't end up choosing regular conventional doctor. There's also a part, so I go through and I edit and then I do my intro just in case there's anything that I missed. There is a part where I start talking about C-sections, and I just want to clarify that I think I just kind of got lost in it, but I want to clarify that had a C-section been necessary, I would have absolutely done it, no questions asked. I didn't say it, I meant to, and I just kind of ran off course like I do, but had a C-section been necessary for me, I would have totally done it, no questions asked. I just didn't say that because I talked about my birth a little bit. But yeah, I am so happy that you're here. I talk a little bit about, just alternative methods and how the hospitals treat women today and, why I didn't choose to ingest placenta like most people think that I did. But I didn't do that. And I talk a little bit about that. So thank you so much for being here. And if you're on the fence about giving birth naturally, give this a little listen to and see how you feel after. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you're here. I'll talk to you soon. I'm back with season 2. It's Basement Philosophies, and I'm your host, Brittany. Here, we won't follow the script of the mainstream media. We'll talk about real life, real problems, and now that I'm a new mom, we're going to talk about that too. Welcome back, and I'm so happy that you're here. Let's get to it. Hey guys, sorry about last week. So last week, I moved, and I didn't realize how bad moving sucked. I don't know. It's like I've moved before. I don't know. I guess you forget how much it sucks. So that's what I was doing. It was a lot more than I thought it would be. And it's not that I didn't have the time. I mean, I didn't, but also there was always someone around. And I don't like to record when people are around because that's embarrassing. But I finally got this small window because Thursday I will be at a meeting and Wednesday there will be people here. So this was just the perfect time. But I hope you're all doing well. I am finally back on the ground. I lived on the 28th floor of apartment buildings downtown, and now I'm in the burbs, baby. And I love it. Not used to the bugs. And, and I don't say that in a diva way. I've just been downtown so long. And I'm not from the city. I grew up in a small town. And it's just I haven't been around bugs and mosquitoes for 5 years or more. And now they're just everywhere, even inside the toilet. It's a very beautiful house, but I went to the bathroom and I don't know why I looked down there, but I did. And in the hole towards the front of the toilet, I saw appendages and antennas of some sort of creature. And I assume it was like a roach, but there's no telling. I'm not scared of insects. I'm not. It's their arms and legs and antennas. And if I don't know what it is, that's what I'm scared of. And I was like, oh my God, that's so gross. But I don't know. So far, so good though. I'm loving it. I love being on the ground. I love having a little yard. I'm not having to go and get an elevator and go down to the 7th floor to take my dog out with the baby. It's just so much better. If you hear any strange noises, I don't know all the weird noises yet, but let me know. And if I don't catch it, but I try to catch it. Luna's walking around sniffing everything. She sounds a lot like a pig, so you might hear that. But I hope you're all doing well. That's what I've been doing. Everything's just kind of moving so fast. And I had a feeling that was going to happen, but I don't know. I'm just trying to stay calm and do my thing. It's really hard for me. Not hard. It's very different for me to learn how to navigate having like a real life and having a newborn. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. And like the whole, I gotta find childcare. Like I can't just go to my meeting on Thursday for my internship. I have to get childcare. And that's so easy for some people, but it's just new for me. So I'm learning how to do that. I'm preparing myself for leaving my baby for blocks at a time. I'm not ready, and I understand why women should be stay-at-home moms and why they want to, because I don't want to leave my baby. I am just not ready. But hopefully I'll be working more days a week, but half days, because I'm not leaving my baby for a whole day. I'm just not. So we'll see how it works out, but that's where I'm at. But I'm really excited about everything that's going on. I'm bound and determined to start my yoga again. I think I'm ready. So I had started a few weeks ago. No, maybe a month ago. I tried, and my abdominal muscles were not ready. Like I did one tiny stretch thing, and I was like, oh. And it hurt for like days. And I was like, oh, I still need to heal. So I just rest. I had more rest. But now I'm like excited and I'm ready. And I think it's time. So we will start doing that, because the baby does sleep sometimes by herself. And she is right now. But I assume that she will wake back up. But I have my shirt by her. So maybe she'll give me some time to record this. I wasn't sure what I wanted to talk about today, but I'm feeling like light and happy, and I just thought like at one point I wanted to talk about my struggle with my faith, because a lot of people had not a lot of people, okay, a few people had questions about navigating that and how they just feel so bad and shameful. So I wanted to address it so, those few people wouldn't feel so alone. And I know a lot of people have struggled with their faith, but I'm not going to talk about that this time. I want to talk a little bit about why I chose a birth center and a midwife and not the hospital. And I'm just going to go into depth about that, because a lot of people think I'm crazy and they're giving me shit, and that's fine. You can think I'm crazy and give me shit, but me and my baby are here and we're good and we're thriving. And I never went to a hospital nor saw a OBGYN once. Not once. So I told the story about how I got pregnant and could not find a doctor that wanted to see me. When I found out I was pregnant, me and my fiance waited a little while to even make an appointment, because we had a miscarriage in 2019. So we wanted to wait, till it was like for sure sign that there should be a heartbeat, because it's this whole drawn out thing where you have a ultrasound, and if they can't find the heartbeat, they make you wait a week, and then you go again, and if there's no heartbeat, then you gotta go do all the stuff, and it's so sad and devastating. And for a week you're just sitting around wondering if your baby has a heart rate or a heartbeat. It's horrible. So we were gonna wait like 12 weeks to even go. And during that waiting, I had a miscarriage, so I lost a baby, and I was devastated, of course, but I just let the miscarriage run its course, because I did have a procedure the first time, And I just didn't want to do it again. I didn't want anybody else in my uterus. Like, I just felt like if I wanted to have a kid, I needed to not do anything else to my uterus. So I was just like, no, I'm going to let this run its course. Well, I let it run its course, and you can wait like a week. It takes like a week or two for it to completely finish and for the bleeding to stop. So I waited for all of that. And you take a pregnancy test at the end so that if it's negative, you know that the miscarriage completed. And because you don't want any tissues left behind. You can get really bad infection from that. Didn't know that, but know that now. Well, I did all of that and I waited, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm done now. So let me take a pregnancy test and see if it's negative. But it never was. It kept being positive. Okay, no, I knew I waited a week. I took it. It was still positive. So I waited another week and it was still positive. And I was like, okay, what the F? And then I walked back in the bedroom and I was like, hey, hun, I think I'm going to make an appointment because this test is still coming up positive and I don't know why. And I don't want to get an infection. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So that's when the journey started. And so I was calling just to find a doctor that would give me an ultrasound. I told him what happened and I told him the whole story. 1, not nice. 2, super rushed. And 3, nobody wanted to give me an ultrasound. Not one doctor I could find wanted to give me an ultrasound. They did not want to take me on as a patient. They were just very hesitant because of my age, the miscarriage, and the fact that I didn't have health insurance. And I still don't. So I was like, I'm self-pay and all of this. And they're like, well, if you're self-pay and you're pregnant, I need you to at least pay, I think it was $1,800 to get an ultrasound because it's going to go towards my vaginal birth. That's what they said. And I was like, no, I don't know if I'm pregnant still. I know I had a miscarriage and I really need to see what's going on in there. Okay, yeah, $1,800. And this was pretty much the conversation with 3 separate doctors. Nobody was nice. Nobody was comforting. I was already scared, and, I get it. Nurses are overworked and everything, but I eventually, I'm known to panic. So, and I'm gotten a lot better, especially since having my baby. But before that, no, I panic, especially if things weren't working out just the way I wanted it, soon. And, having a baby changes all that for the better, but, I just really started to panic and I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to find out what's going on. What's happening? I don't know what to do. I'm completely lost. So I basically Googled or something where to get an ultrasound. That's basically what I did. And the birth center came up somehow, which is weird because they don't do that. It just happened to come up for some reason. So I called I know it. The birth center came up and I called them to ask if they would give me an ultrasound if they offered that. So I call and I tell them the story, and whoever answered, man, a sweet soul, whoever answered, and I was just sobbing, crying. I was crying so hard. And I was like, nobody wants to help me. And I really need some help. I need an ultrasound. I had a miscarriage and just nobody wants to help me. And I can't find anybody to help me. I was like, do you guys just offer this just so I can see what's going on? And she was like, I am so sorry. And she's like, I'm so sorry that you're in pain. She was so kind, so kind. I need to figure out her name. It was at the Journey Birth Center. I never met her because I think she was behind the scenes. She was never at the office. I never got to meet her, but they all knew who I was talking about when I walked in. And I told them, I was like, she was so kind to me, and I'm so grateful. Because she was like, no, we don't offer it. But look, I have a number for you. You can call this number. And I said, thank you so much. I'm going to do that. So I go and I get my ultrasound, and I told you the whole story. Lo and behold, sorry, I got a little weepy because I just remember how lost and scared I was. And that girl just saved my entire life. She'll never ever know. But the ultrasound, yeah, she was like, she let out the biggest laugh because I had a full-grown baby just kicking around, healthy in there. She was 14 weeks old, like so crazy, so crazy. I'll never forget. I was like, what? And like to have her here now, I'm talking about her, and she's asleep in the other room. Oh my God, I just love her so much. I can't believe that she's here. So after all that, when I found out like I was pregnant, it was time to like find a doctor. And I was like, oh God. Like I said, I had already had such a hard time. And I knew I had a few friends that had babies. I knew what the protocols were in the hospitals. I knew that you couldn't have visitors. You had to wear masks, and that's when they were pushing the jab like really, really hard. And I didn't want any of that. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, this is not the time. Like, I'm so scared to have this baby during this time. I don't want them to force these meds on me and my baby, because I heard like women were having to get these meds, and it was like either hurting them or their babies, and by hurting I mean killing them. So I was just so scared, and I would have never picked a birth center because I was just like anyone else. You know, I believed I could not have a natural birth. I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. It's going to hurt. Like, I can barely function with terrible cramps or a headache. And, you know, my fiance was right when he tried to, like, talk me out of going to a birth center. He's like, you have a low pain tolerance. Like, you can't do it. He never even said I could do it, honestly. Don't think he's an asshole, though. He has his reasons. I mean, he was an asshole, but all guys are to some extent, aren't they? Like, he just really didn't want me to do the birth center, and but there was no changing my mind. And I'm not giving any backlash on the shot, just so you know. Like, I am 100% all about medical freedom, no matter what it is. Your body, your choice, whatever you decide, not my business. Just like my choices are nobody else's business, right? Unless I tell you. So that's where I am at with that. So back to what I was saying. What was I saying? My fiance, he just really, really did not want me to do a birth center. And, you know, at first I wasn't going to. Like, even when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, let me just try to call. I was like, okay, like, and I had to go and tell them what happened. Like, at the time, I'm 34 years old. I'm 35 now. I'm 34 years old. I had a miscarriage, but there's still a baby in there. So it was originally twins. I lost one, and now I need, you know, to make an appointment. And I am also 14 weeks. I was just hit with first off, like, I'm a geriatric pregnancy because my age. They said I was high risk because I lost one of the babies. And also it was going to cost me an arm and a leg because I had no insurance. They didn't like that. So, and then they were like, and you're so far along. Like, why haven't you seen a doctor kind of thing? And I'm just like, and they're like already lecturing me, being like awful. And every single one, and I will say every single one of them were, ooh, you're late and you're older and you're high risk. Like, all of this, like doom. And I was like, oh my God. And so at this point, I'm like terrified, right? So I call the birth center back that gave me the recommendation. And it's this point, I called crying again, maybe? I'm not sure. I know I called crying, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. And I wanted somebody to help me because I had no one to help me and I didn't know what to do. I was like, they're saying that I'm like high risk and all of this stuff, and oh my God. And because they had freaked me out, right? So I called them back crying, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I literally do not. And I'm not one to say that. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I'm scared. I'm alone and I don't know. And she was like, well, we can schedule you and you can talk to us. And, you know, they give you like a consultation kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know like anything like about it. Like I didn't know anything about birth centers or giving birth, babies. Still learning about babies, by the way, but I didn't know anything. And I told them, I was like, no, like, I want to talk to you guys and please and thank you. Like, this at least puts me on the right track. And so they sent me an email. They want me to watch, like, this documentary, The Business of Giving Birth. So good, by the way. You should watch it. And I was just like, okay. This is like a step. Like I had no steps. Now this is one step, right? So, so I do, like, I watch the documentary and I'm just like, still at the point where I was like, I can't give birth naturally, but really I have no choice, right? Because I don't want to be in the hospital. I don't want all that weird stuff to happen to me. And then I watched the documentary. And I was like, huh. It gave me a lot to think about because I did make an appointment. So they have your intake appointment, right? But I couldn't get in for like a few more weeks. I think I was 18 weeks pregnant before I even saw any kind of healthcare professional in my pregnancy. And, you know, when I called and told them like what happened, I was like, yeah, remember I called or emailed you guys or whatever I did and y'all told me to go get an ultrasound. Well, it turns out there's a baby in there. And you know what? They never scared me. They were never like, ooh, no, that's terrible. We can't take you. You're high risk. No, it was, oh my God, congratulations. And I was like, really? You know, they made me feel so relieved. And they're just like, no, that's a miracle. And I was like, wow, it is a miracle. And then there were like 2 babies and one is still there. They're like, I'm so sorry for your loss, but it's a miracle. You should be happy. And I was like, okay. I was like so scared. But they were just like, no, it's such a miracle. Like God gave you like such a blessing. And I was like, oh my God, he did. He did give me a blessing, and it just changed my whole perspective. And I finally got excited a little bit. I mean, still terrified, of course, but I got excited. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I watched the documentary during that time before my intake, you know, because they're, you know, at the intake, they do blood work and stuff. People don't. Like, my fiance was under the impression that a birth center was akin to, like, a barn, I guess. He thought they were just going to throw me on the floor to have my baby. I don't know what he thought. And he was just like, oh, they do, like, blood work and stuff? And I was like, yes. Yes, they do blood work and stuff. So he actually did go to that appointment because we thought we would see the baby, but they don't do ultrasounds there. So, so he just went there to watch me do blood work, but he did hear the heartbeat because they always check the heartbeat, and it did make him teary. He's a little softy. Don't let him steer you wrong. But so they always do check the heartbeat, but you just don't see the baby every time. You can make an appointment with the tech anytime you want, but I only saw my baby twice in my stomach. Once when I found out she was there. 3 times. once I found out she was there, an anatomy scan, and then I had to do a second anatomy scan because they thought maybe she wasn't growing, but she was good. So yeah, in between the time that I watched the documentary, started doing some research, and my intake appointment, I was like, I'm doing this. I'm having a natural birth. And I was, you think you're scared, but I took the route as, God made this body of mine. He made us so perfect that I know I can do it. And I didn't know anything about the pain because I never gave birth before. And I was like, but still, I think I can do it. And I just flooded my psyche with positive birth stories, like natural birth stories. I just watched one after another. There was a book that I did get, and it's Ina May. She's very renowned, but there was one bad story in there, and it scared me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to read this book anymore. So, so I just looked at all the happy ones, everybody's story. I meditated a ton. I just visualized, my birth. I feel like I should have visualized that it went faster, but instead I just mainly focused on both of us being like healthy. And thankfully, we were. And what I discovered, so like I said, I knew nothing about pregnancy, nothing about babies. Now, the great thing about like midwives, like I went in there and I was like, I don't know anything. And they don't exactly flood you with all of this information. Now, I chose to take a birthing class just, because I didn't know anything and my mom came with me. We learned like so much. There was only one bad class, and that's because they had to tell you everything that could go wrong. And it's good. It's better to be educated. They're right. But that class really upset me. And because I just didn't want anything to go wrong, And so that stuff, like had I focused on that, I would have went in really, really scared. Which I was scared, but it was more like I was scared of pushing a baby out of my vagina. Like there was a baby in my stomach and it had to come out. And I was like, oh God, I'm so scared. It's going to hurt. So like there was fear there, but I did not let it take me over. When I got a lot of fear, like I would just go listen to another birth story, or I would talk to a friend, that did it, or I would just be like, I'm really scared. And and even I know I was really scared about having postpartum depression because I suffered from depression before. I didn't struggle with that, thank God. But I did, I had my normal baby blues just because in the very beginning, it's just hard and you're not sleeping and you feel very isolated and alone just like for small periods of time. Just like at night, in the middle of the night when you haven't slept in a few days and your partner, like my partner had to sleep. He had to work, and I fed the baby, just I don't know. And then I saw my old life slipping away. And while I was in love with my baby, I was just like, oh my God, everything's different. And I'm really scared and my body hurts and I'm really tired. This is such a hard time. And I was just like, I'm scared. Like I'm scared. And that's like what I felt. And it only lasted for a very short time. But thankfully, like I had my mom to call and she's like, no, it's okay. It's normal and you're going to be okay. And she was like, just, you can talk to me and thanks, Mom. But because I was so worried about postpartum depression, I, asked the midwife for a lot of options and she gave me some. And, one of them was that, you can encapsulate your placenta and ingest it. And if I'm being honest, like most people would assume that I did that. And I don't know, something just told me like not to do that. My insides were just like, no, don't do that. And the way I see it and the way I came to my conclusion was that it grew for the baby. It filters out, like, I think, doesn't it work like a filter? I'm not sure. Like, my understanding is that it works kind of like a filter, and all the toxins and shit can get stuck in there. And then when the baby's out, it comes out with the baby. So I don't know. If we want to keep things black and white, very simple, it would make sense that placenta for the baby and does not need to be re-ingested. Plus, I just couldn't find enough information on the topic. I did see a few discussion boards about it. Women, it does work for some, but other women, they were like, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, my anxiety was through the roof and I felt much worse and things like that. I don't know. There might be benefits, none that I could see that were worth it to me. So I did not do that with the placenta. But what I am doing, I did not give my placenta away. I kept it and it's in my freezer. I'm so glad, my mom is so cool with my weird, but it's in her freezer at home and we're going to plant it in the ground on top. And then we're going to have a fruit tree near it. And that's going to be Quinn's little tree. I think I told you all that, but I didn't want to give the placenta away. They do really creepy stuff with it. And it was just another thing that I learned that was devastating. And, it's just so frustrating. But that's what I did. And yeah, that's where we are with that. It was just kind of a hard time. And thankfully I had a couple my two main friends that I called all the time or text all the time. Thankfully, they understood, especially my friend Nikki. She really got it. She was like, no, it's normal. You're okay. And I'm here. And I had the support. So I'm really, really grateful and blessed in that way. But the great thing about midwives is they don't overload you with a ton of information, especially in the beginning. I went in there and I was like, I don't know anything. And I'm like, and they give you options. And this is what's wrong with the world today. They don't really give you options, anything. Our hospitals, I can go on and on about what's wrong with hospitals. Am I anti-hospital or anti-doctor? No, I think that they're very great for, emergency care. I do. But as far as healthy living and lifestyle and things like that, no. I don't think that doctors are meant for that. I just don't. Because I don't think a pill is the answer. I think finding the root cause is the answer. So, what the great thing about going the midwife route, at least in my experience, is they give you options. At each appointment you go to, they're like, okay, do you want this test? And you don't have to do this test. And when you get close, you shove a Q-tip up your vag, and if it's positive, I think it's GBS or something like that. And if it's positive, you can decide, do you want antibiotics or not? You get to do everything. You get to decide everything. And do you want the vitamin K and the Hep B vax the day they're born? Do you want delayed cord clamping? Do you want the eye ointment? And so they give you all the options, right? They kind of list them out for you, and then you can decide. But they'll talk to you about it. They'll provide information if you have any questions, but ultimately it's up to you to decide if you want it or not. So that means you have to do your research. And so many people these days, they don't do the research. And I am the same. Had the pandemic never happened, I went down all of those rabbit holes while we were in lockdown because things just weren't adding up for me. I really wouldn't have, researched either. And it turns out the way they treat women in the hospital is barbaric, to say the least. Like, if you come about, like, how they really came to the decision to do the things the way they do, it's kind of mind-blowing. So just look into it if you're interested. And it really opened my eyes to question, like, why do they do the things that they do? Like, why are you having to basically starve and dehydrate yourself? Not really dehydrate, but you can't eat, I think, right, when you go into labor at the hospital. That's because they're always preparing you to have a C-section. And that's where eventually, like, they want it to go. If you haven't planned for it yourself, again, no judgment. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people that get induced, the rate of C-section, like, exponentially increases. And you just have to wonder, like, why? And while I was open to having a C-section if I needed to, of course, like for emergency only, it wasn't the choice that, I wanted to make for myself or my child. I know that there are so many benefits to having a natural birth without all of the drugs. And my baby came out alert and looking around, and she never ever left my side. They did delay cord clamping because they call it like cord blood, but no, that's like your baby's blood. So there could be like severe blood loss if you're not doing delayed cord clamping. And then like eye ointment, I was like, oh yeah, of course, like eye ointment, they need that. But then you look into it and you're like, well, why do they need that? They need it because in case you have like an infection or like a sexually transmitted disease down there. And I don't. So therefore she didn't really need it. And no, I didn't put that ointment on her eyes after she was born, and she's totally fine. And then like I like all of those exams, I said it already once on my birth story episode, but I never had like vaginal exams. Like they never shoved their fingers up me at all during my entire pregnancy. She only did when I went into labor and I went there to have my baby. And that shit sucks. Is it like that every time? Oh my God, I don't ever want them to do that ever. I'm glad I didn't get any because it hurt. But maybe it was a contraction. Who really knows? I was just like, ouch. But it's just crazy if when you really, really look into it, and we are conditioned to believe that we can't do it, that we're not strong enough. But that's not true at all. And I'm just now more than ever an advocate of natural birth. And that does not go to say that I'm against hospital births or medicated births at all. Like, do you? Like, if I wanted drugs, like, yeah, I would take them, and I don't care what you think. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter what you decide. My point is that we've been conditioned to believe that we can't do it, that we're not strong enough to do it. And I think it's important for women to understand just how powerful their bodies are, how strong their bodies are, and just how perfectly, miraculously their bodies were designed. Because your body is designed to give birth. And it kind of can do it all on its own, Yeah, you really got to do a lot of mental work to work with the labor pain, See, me, and it's not true for all first-time moms, but me, I did. My labor was so long, 18 hours, that by the end of it, like, well, no, not like maybe like 13 hours in, I was just tired and it hurt, and I got lost in the pain, and I I was just in this very bad cycle of pain and anxiety, and she just would not come out. But she finally did, and we did it, and thank God. But I'm still like, I would still like do it again. But let's hope that it would come out faster, But I would do it again in a heartbeat, no question, except I'd probably be at home. Was why not? And, they just, so much fear is thrown at us every second of every day. It's why I try not to turn on anything anymore. And I just, and when I don't turn on anything, I feel so much peace. I feel so much better. Like I have this undeniable strength and courage deep within me. But I really have to pay attention. And you really do. You have to quiet down all of that outside noise. Otherwise, your own intuition, your own voice, your own strength, it kind of gets drowned out. I mean, prior to not having given birth, I never questioned the system. I've never questioned the healthcare system. I just assumed doctors knew more than I did. But now I see, like, especially how so many people are coming forward about how they have these chronic illnesses and how they've been to so many doctors and they're basically laughed at in regards to their symptoms, and they just, can't figure it out. Did you know, like, babies who have colic, they just call it that because they don't know exactly what's going on with your baby. And like Lyme disease, I think the same thing, and I just never questioned it. It's kind of like, it's the same thing when I went through like my spirituality faith crisis. And it's a crisis because it hurts and it's painful and it's scary. Like when I started to question my faith, I realized like what I believed simply because I was told to. And the same goes with how we give birth. Like we give birth in the hospital that way because that's what's being done, and nobody talks about the different ways and alternative ways. They look at it and people think you're stupid, and they think that you're making a bad choice for both you and your health and the health of your baby. And I went to the hospital route, I would have never researched. I would have never learned about my body. I would have never learned about, the whole concept of delivery and labor and what it all entailed. I wouldn't. I would have just followed blindly, as I always did with everything. But now I question everything. And if everybody's doing it, you should take a look at it, because usually there's something underneath the surface that's pretty scary. And I found that true with most things. I mean, you could see now like all the foods that are being tested and just they're all under fire because you're finding I guess it was Skittles, which common sense would tell you that, they're probably not fit for human consumption, but you just don't know really, you don't take into consideration just how bad these things are. And then I read like Capri Sun is recalling theirs because they said it might contain cleaner. And my thought, honestly, and just a conspiracy theory thought, is that it probably always had cleaner in it, but now that everything's getting tested, they just want to try to save their ass, but I don't know. Maybe it really was an accident, but doubt it. I don't trust anything now, and it sucks. It sucks that the world is so toxic that way, and it sucks what's happening to women, It sucks that we were, stripped of our voices and our confidence and our power simply because, I don't know why. Because maybe we are so powerful, and that was just not going to cut it to the people in charge. Because once people come into their power, they can't be swayed by fear anymore. I know that me having birth naturally, I got a lot of shit for it, right? It was unconventional. People thought that I was being careless. Even my partner, he was just like, it's dangerous for you and the baby, and why, like, something bad's gonna happen and you guys won't be taken care of when you could just be at the hospital. And while that is all very true, you're also you have to keep in mind that you're also taking a lot of precautions to keep the emergency situations at a minimum. And midwives, unlike what doctors and, nurses do, they're always thinking like ahead. They're always thinking, like there's always a workaround, kind of. Like if there's something going on, they've been aware of it, right? So they're going to take care of it. And if you have, good midwife, and all, like, I had the best people ever. I think you should all travel to Texas and go there. But, none of this is medical advice. It's just my experience. And I just ask that you just take a look. And I know people don't like to research. There's a lot of people on Instagram you can find that talk about all the different stuff. So you don't even have to do the digging. Plus, Google is so unreliable now. You would have to go find a different search engine. So if you're doing any kind of research or starting out, don't use Google. It's crap. And they pretty much scrubbed everything and put new information out there. It's insane. But I don't know. And then ever since, I want to thank all of those doctors' offices and those people that I talked to on the phone for being so incredibly unsupportive and so mean, basically, because it put me on this new roadmap of really getting to know my body. And honestly, it's been amazing. And it is a form of self-care because I'm learning so much. I learned so much about delivery and what the body does and what it's capable of. And it was a really beautiful time. And it was amazing. And it really made me feel super empowered. And then once I was able to get through that birth, like a lot of people, they were just like, you don't get a trophy for having a natural birth. And I'm like, I don't need a trophy. I wasn't doing it for the bragging rights. While I do feel amazing and I could say I did it, yeah. It wasn't to prove anything to anyone because it wasn't about anyone else. It was for what was best for me and my baby. Because babies and moms, they get all of that time together. And the baby works hard during labor. I talked to my daughter when we were in the middle of labor, and I was just like, what can I do? How can I help? Please just come out, and I love you so much. And it was just a journey that we took together, and we both worked really hard to get her here. And I just, I remember thinking when I got home with her that same day, we were both laying down to sleep. All of us, we all laid down to sleep, and she was sleeping so soundly. And I thought, wow, I was like, she deserves to sleep so soundly because she worked so hard to get here. And it was just such a life-altering decision and experience. And I would say, if you have the chance, if you think that you can't do it, you absolutely can. And I'm just like, it's like when I think, I'm like, if I can do it, like everybody can do it. And I'm no different like than anyone else in that sense, because I was like, yeah, go to the hospital. Yeah, drugs for sure. Why would I even question that? But after everything came to light and once I learned about the whole thing, it just really opens your eyes, and you're cheaping yourself of your true power when you take the easy road. And God made us so divinely, so perfectly. And I wouldn't do it any other way. It was the best thing for me. It was the best thing for my daughter. And even if you do have a hospital birth, medicated or not, doula all the way, have a good one. Do it, because for some reason I didn't want anybody around, but I sure did want my doula, and she got it. She gets it, and I didn't have to be. I knew a doula had been there, done it before, but it was like, in front of my family, I felt like I had to be quiet, and I couldn't do the raw things that you need to do to get through labor. I just felt like I couldn't. So when they left the room, though, I was all in, like, let's do this. But here we are, and she is currently, I had to stop this recording because she did wake up, and then a whole bunch of other mess happened, and oh God, it's been a crazy day. But I think we're towards the end. If you have any questions, especially about this stuff, I would be happy to talk about it, happy to help anybody with any questions they might have. Just look into it. If you're on the fence about having a birth, just do your research. And also, I think hospitals have midwives too. Maybe look at that route. Like, there are compromises. There are ways, you can advocate for yourself. You can stand up for yourself. Doctors don't know everything. Policy is not the law. And you have a right to your own body. So do not let anybody bully you into doing something that you do not want to do. And I stand by that. Yeah, it can be scary and hard, especially if you're like me, and you don't really like to, have arguments with people. But I don't know, once you get sick of it enough, you'd be amazed at what you can do. And now it comes so easily to me because there's no one going to hurt me and my baby, So I hope that you all are doing well. And if you have any questions, you can contact me. If you just want to say hi, you can contact me. I love hearing from you guys. And I hope to hear from some of you. I really do. But if there's any way I can pray for you, please let me know, and I will be sure to make that happen. Bye.